Okay, we're live again. The preceding live stream terminated because Unit 207 manually changed one of the tasks in the taskbar in order to terminate it to once again pretend as though they successfully did it. It wasn't 100% because all day long I've been saying in the live streams that I'm putting out baits that they've used before to terminate the live stream and perpetrate domestic terrorism and further prove their loyalty to their aggravated criminal conspiracy that became a domestic terrorist organization on August 6th. But we'll just pretend like that's not true, but it is. Anyway, it is 6:26 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. This is a consensual recording of Mystic Gwen pursuant to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I'm not employed by the FBI, but I've been authorized to state I am an informant since the end of June 2024. I am going to throw in the timestamp chat here. Unit 207, North Everett Precinct, attempted to terminate prior live by adding and then redacting task to task manager, as can be seen in the screen share we were all on less than 3 minutes ago. This live stream will be running until I orally state an end time, unless the domestic terrorist Unit 207 once again wait until I am asleep and then illegally move my cursor to end the live, which you will see as I will be going to sleep the same way I have for over 24 hours, sharing my screen with you to see if they do that again. Okay, time stamped on here. 6:27 p.m. Unit 207, North Everett Precinct, attempted to terminate prior live by adding and then redacting task to task manager, as can be seen in the screen share we were all on less than 3 minutes ago. 6:28 p.m. This live stream will be running until I orally state an end time, unless the domestic terrorist, Unit 207, once again wait until I am asleep and then illegally move my cursor to end the live, which 6:28 p.m. you will see as I will be going to sleep the same way I have for over 24 hours, sharing my screen with you to see if they do that again. Now, what I was attempting to do in the preceding live stream, let me share my screen with you. Whoop. You're exiting my living room and going to my screen. Here we go. All right. On the right-hand side here, we have the task manager. So what I was attempting to do when they did what they just did was I was attempting to edit into the description some pieces of information that I feel are pertinent. But let me see. I think I may not even need to do what I was going to do. Let me see. I'm clicking on edit with pop it up. We can see here that upon me popping it up, I've got warning. Apparently, they're attempting to terminate my live stream right now. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, I do have this on here, so I don't need to do what I was going to do. Ta-da! Okay, so let me minimize this to half a screen and keep this one on half a screen, and then we'll make the other edits here. $225, 6:20 p.m. Let's just do 6:25 p.m. 6:25 p.m. Unit 207, North Everett Precinct, have been allowed via my baiting. They think they're terminating it right now. Let's look and see. I can't tell. We'll pop back up the task manager. See how they're dropping it down to 0 here over and over and over again? That's them attempting to facilitate acts of domestic terrorism to further defraud their employer, the United States of America, and to send more individuals volunteering to go to prison to my front door. Unit 207, 1 p.m. this afternoon to as recent as my prior live stream, a few of which are set to private temporarily. Oh, they're actively attempting again. Let's pull up the task manager. Oh, goodness me. Oh, goodness me. They will attempt to do what is time stamped in, unless one of them has a brain. And they're attempting again. Saving that. Let's open up the task manager. We're going to clear browser data. We're opening back up the task manager. Boom, 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 boom. Sometimes my job, you guys, is just to bait you and then slap you in the face. And then sometimes my job is just to bait you guys and tell you, it's a trap. It's a trap. And then not feel bad when you're dumb as fuck. Did you comprehende? You comprehende? As you can see here, history is still visible. And we still have this little problem that's addressed in prior live streams of Unit 207. Pretending to be service workers, that should say domestic terrorist, child abusers, stalkers, thieves, fraudsters. That's what it should say. There's no way for me to remove it, as we've seen in the preceding live streams. I'll let you know something I say upstairs. The girl upstairs is like, it's okay. We almost had her. We had the video down. We know what it takes now. We know. Sir, I forgot to follow one of the FBI's protocols, you silly ninny, when I started the live stream. One of the protocols are to close these illegal and criminal browsers that are Unit 207, the domestic terrorist organizations. Now, what I did not know is that I could close it after I started the live stream, and even when you were getting giddy about domestic terrorism, it would stop you. Perhaps one of you individuals, to the man and woman upstairs that are so desperately on this right now at 6:35 p.m., as you have been for days, nonstop, preventing me from sleeping, literally being outside of my door at 1 a.m, talking about more felonies to perpetrate against me. The level of absurdity is unreal. But anyway, perhaps both of you, one of you is one of the individuals that an undercover FBI agent likes, that he's not supposed to, that he's been trying to prevent from going to prison for days and days, and you're just throwing yourself over and over and over again into the bin of going to prison. And the undercover agent is like, fuck, I can't do anything else about this because, for one thing, The FBI informant downstairs keeps talking about it on the fucking live stream. For another, you keep hurling yourselves into the heaping, burning pit of everyone who, symbolically speaking, landed upside down on a metaphorical Delta airplane, not on the tarmac in the Puget Sound, surrounded by the FBI's Orca pad. Everyone who has blown the whistle is fully evacuated and will be compensated a hell of a lot more than $30,000. They almost died. And the rest of you idiots symbolically are strapped in and sinking. You're sinking knowing that you'll have 10 to 12 days in March as long as you can resist the temptation to break in. Again. 10 to 12 days. And the 10 to 12 days could be from the 11th to the 21st, because if you missed it, the FBI said, although they may not arrest any police officers next month and may choose to do it not at all until April, depending on officers' conduct. It hasn't been stated explicitly, but it has been suggested to a point where one could theoretically be like, that's pretty fucking explicit. I mean, come on. That as long as you're able to not perpetrate a breaking and entering, you're not going to be going to jail until next month. Now, that being said, the FBI also said that was contingent on no one fucking up their op last night, and their op last night was to make the individuals they are excited to throw in prison, who are in some way, shape, or form a large portion of the reason why all of you were and or are facing prison time. Blow their tops at sundown last night. And I have not been told whether or not their op got fucked up. I don't know. I would speculate, and it is pure speculation, by the over 12 hours that Mrs. Super Duper Crazy Pants was here today, that she probably blew her top last night. Because, like, I don't know who fucking does that. Oh, yes, I do. That's right. My multiple times convicted stalker and abuser. Dude, that's who does that kind of shit. Crazy. Anyway, even though it makes no sense and it shouldn't be, it can't be, how could I go to sleep? I've slept long enough. Am I Rip Van Winkle? No, I'm not Rip Van Winkle. I'm bleeding out of my vagina. My sleep has been bullshit, basically since the 11th extra bullshit because of the imbeciles upstairs that are requesting to go to prison. Not to be confused with the whistleblowers who, per the FBI, are 100% at risk of retaliation worse than what I've experienced. That means the FBI has assessed that there is at least one individual in your domestic terrorist organization that used to only be an aggravated criminal conspiracy who they think is crazy enough to shoot somebody. Now, they did say that every precinct that is in the position of the North Everett precinct currently having a pattern of behavior that occurs, which basically also entails officers that are not crazy being suspected or caught as an FBI informant and then being unlawfully and illegally committed for a few days. The FBI said that's just something that typically happens. But for the FBI to say that you guys are 100% at risk of retaliation literally means that they're very much just as much victims as me. There's a lot of shit that I don't like to go over 500 times a day. So instead of going over all of the big details, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you, you need to read the description in each of my currently published public videos on my YouTube channel, going back to the evening video of the 23rd, the evening video that runs for 11 hours and 55 minutes. I don't remember what time it started. But from the 23rd into the 24th, read that description and then read in the description for all of the published to public live streams since then. And then if you're brand new and this is your first time here and you're reading those, they're probably not going to make very much sense. And you're going to want to check out a video that's just under 2 hours long that you can find on my YouTube channel if you search Mystic Gwen versus the North Everett Precinct of Fraudsters, the Stalker, Extortionists et al. It was published in late December and it's just under 2 hours. And then when you're done with that, you're going to want to search on my YouTube channel 2/16 3 a.m. debrief. There's more to the title, but if you just search that, that video will pop up. And that's another video that's just under 2 hours long. And then after that video, all that you need, you'll find in the descriptions. And then you may be like, oh, well, now I'm intrigued. I want to look at other videos and see what was going on. You can do that. You'll find updates in most all of the descriptions. You also may be wondering when you're seeing this, where are the other preceding live streams? As you can see in the comments here, I literally wanted to listen to fucking podcast and try to watch some documentaries today. I already knew that both of those options meant that Unit 207 would be able to terminate my live stream. I also wanted to test and see how long the FBI would let me remain terminated. The answer, my friends, is less than 3 minutes. The answer is less than 3 minutes. And I also wanted to see, was there any loopholes or way to stop them from terminating the live stream so that I could enjoy podcasts and or documentaries? The answer is no, which is kind of annoying because I personally like just having to record 2 live streams a day to go over important things at the beginning of the live stream and then just talk orally as things are unfolding, instead of having to start numerous. But then at the same time, I just couldn't stand it anymore. I had to hear some podcast and some things. And yes, they are efficient. I mean, they've been terminating live streams in every way that one could possibly imagine, so much so that they literally are perpetrating domestic terrorism, as they know. That being said, it is currently 6:43 p.m. PST. If you watched the preceding public video, that also was a long one, you'll find that while I was sleeping last night, I got up like every 2 hours. Not every time, but plenty of times I was like, oh, the live stream is still on. Unit 207's been trying to criminally and illegally come to my door without a live stream being running for days. They did it yesterday, just long enough for me to start a new live stream. They knocked twice and didn't even talk. Unlike Friday when they were banging on glass windows in the door and screaming to let them in, when they've known it's been illegal for them to even attempt to talk to me since August 6th. In any way, shape, or form, and with any third, fourth, or fifth parties, i.e. any of the various institutions that their domestic terrorist organization has corrupted. So they're upstairs and they're desperate, and one of the ways in which they have killed the live stream twice in the last week was to manually take this little mouse while I was asleep and not sharing the screen and click on this to end the live stream. And twice they literally came over here and clicked it and clicked. Let me enlarge this so you can see it. Twice they came over here while I was asleep and clicked end stream. So I'm going to do the same thing I've done over the last 24 hours. I'm going to leave this sharing the screen with you, running the recording, showing the task manager. If you see any movement over here, anything at all, even for less than a second, it's the domestic terrorist upstairs attempting to terminate the live stream. And if you see this little mouse move without me orally telling you that I'm moving the mouse and that I'm awake, just know that the domestic terrorist upstairs did it. Why? Because rather than a few people taking accountability and falling back and apologizing and never proceeding to go forward, they are now so entrenched in shit that their vanity and their delusions of grandeur have led them into continuing into the bog of eternal federal penitentiaries with a variety of terracotta warriors they're trying to take down with them. They've literally sent over 50 different individuals / instances to my front door. And the ones the FBI is most excited to throw in prison is everyone who knew that by sending those individuals to my door, they were making those individuals personally and criminally liable. That's why I've said some of these individuals. So the whistleblowers, first off, they're 100% at risk of retaliation, more severe than what I've experienced. If we count all of their co-conspirators, I've experienced everything but arson, having acid thrown on my face, being murdered, and having somebody break and enter and then unlawfully and illegally arrest, commit me, or kidnap me, all of which has been premeditated and brainstormed over which one to do and reported for over a year and a half from the condo directly above my home of 13 years. Not everyone up there has been up there for the longest amount of time. The people I blame most largely is is the women that have been actively stalking me like crazy little psychopaths for days now. Particularly all of them that have been there since March 2023, who have known since the very beginning that there was never any legit operation, that it was always an aggravated criminal conspiracy. I've been told that Mini-Me upstairs, she may have thought it was a legit operation, but before her first meeting with the Jersey Devil was over regarding me, she knew damn well it was nothing legal or legit. She knew it was an aggravated criminal conspiracy. So anyway, I said all of that because I'm going to go lay down. And I'm not going to go over everything I've already gone over, at least not yet. Now, there is a chance that I may decide after I sleep for 2, 3, 4, 8 hours, I come out here, the live stream's still going, and then I suddenly feel like I'm going to go over all of the things that I would normally go over. But at this present point in time, I'm curious to see whether or not I'll be able to sleep and wake up with the live stream still rolling, especially considering there are women upstairs the FBI is excited to throw in prison that are ecstatic for me to go to sleep. Namely one, codename Lisa, aka Minnie, aka Tom Dooley, aka one of the few individuals the FBI would to have loved to put in prison without everyone else that's going with them. And she is upstairs right now at 6:48 p.m. If anybody's like, oh, who could that possibly be? First off, you know who the fuck it is. You know who it is, Lisa. Second off, I'm not even going to say what I'm going to say because it's rude. It's extra rude, and I'm just not going to do it. So I'm going to go lay down. If this live stream ends for any reason, the door is still closed. I am still silent. You are still committing crimes and absolutely being recorded by the FBI as well as yourselves on the exterior of my front door and my glass windows, all of which it's my understanding the FBI has said more than a few judges are going to explain to you how very illegal that has been. But again, I don't think that'll be happening until you're arraigned, when you receive your soon-to-be unsealed indictment. And that's where we're at. So, okay, enough talking. 6:49 p.m. You see the cursor. You see the cursor. The cursor is going to be right way down here on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen above end process. Unable to select anything. You see the comments on the left. Those are timestamped chats in this chat. Remember, if anything moves on the right-hand side of the screen, even for a brief moment, it's the domestic terrorist attempting to terminate it. And remember, if you see anything like this, the mouse moving, see that? Particularly to go over here and end the live stream, or to go up here and end the live stream. Just remember, that's the domestic terrorist upstairs, and contrary to the delusions that they have, the FBI knows exactly who's clicking, who's typing, who's sitting at a computer, who's done this and who's done that. Remember, there's more than just whistleblowers. There are undercover FBI agents involved in this case. So that being said, I don't have any intention of ending this live stream until tomorrow. That's only like 5 hours and 10 minutes from now anyway. But until the 26th, Wednesday, I don't have any plans of ending this live stream. Also, let it be known, there was some way in which the FBI intended to say fuck you to those they're most excited to throw in prison today or tomorrow. And I have heard no update as to whether or not That has already occurred. What that may be about, just like I haven't heard any update as to whether or not their plans for yesterday were ruined. So when I get those updates, I will relay them in the live streams. Let me really quickly flip the camera around. Whoop. No longer are we on screen share. I'm giving you a peace symbol. You are in the living room. We're going to do a quick view of the living room before I lay down because the FBI wants me to do this. For those of you that don't know, the FBI had me put some extra things up to try and keep North Everett Police Precinct officers from going to jail. Some of these things include nails specifically placed in my front door so that the door will not open, even if an idiot's attempting to ram it after the last break-in a month ago. A red sheet on top of 2 different curtains that have been hanging in my windows for 13 years due to the rampant exterior stalking. And as you can see, there are no other windows or way for anyone to look in. And then remember, if the live stream ends for any reason, not only am I not aware, but I am silent, even if people are screaming outside of my door that I need to open the door. Alu Akbar, they made the best rocket. They want to kill me. Anything that they may be screaming, I'm not even allowed to address, which all these idiots have known. They've known since August 5th and 6th. Just like they've known when I first called 911 in August and said, the FBI is recording this conversation. That the FBI was recording the conversation. So anyway, again, I keep saying, enough talking, I'm going to sleep, whatever. Back to sharing the screen. You're exiting my living room, but not really. I love that it's just one little button to click to. I can't believe I had no idea that that's what that button did until a day or two ago. Whatever day that I clicked it. Pretty convenient. Okay, so again, let's go over this again. Here is my mouse. I've now got it spinning in a circle around the time-stamped 6:27 p.m. comment from Mystic Gwen here in the chat. And I'm moving it all the way to the right so that it's right here in the bottom right-hand corner above the clock, 6:53 p.m., opening this up so you can see Tuesday, February 25th, setting it right above here. Remember, they're so desperate, they may go over here with the cursor and end the live. They may go up here and click on this and end the stream. They've done both of those. And then you have to remember the individuals that are going to prison for the longest, according to the FBI, are perpetrating a series of crimes every time they bark at somebody and tell them to terminate this live stream. And anything and everything that the FBI feels is going to offer them evidentiary value, they are going to allow. Because at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, they want to put everybody in prison that's requesting to go to prison. Okay, nighty night. Remember, guys, if the mouse moves without me orally talking to you and telling you I'm moving it and me turning the screen share off, you know who it was. You know who it is. And then remember, it's been declassified for 10 years now, maybe even 11 or 12. Who owns Google? The Central Intelligence Agency is indeed ABC. You thought Larry and Sergey just quit? They sold their business and put a good-looking Indian guy in charge of it. Then you don't read the news, and you don't know nearly as much as some of us do. I just brought up that little fact because some of you cannot even comprehend how deep the doo-doo is that you are in as you continue requesting to go to prison. Well, I can't sleep. I'm not at the laptop yet, but I'll be back there. Unit 207, you'll get more hacking attempts. What happened while I laid down? Well, one individual from Unit 207 left to go run an errand, presumably to go to the North Everett precinct and ask them for tips on how to perpetrate the termination of the live streams. Two, one of the females that I know the FBI is excited to put in prison, who they feel has indeed been requesting to go to prison, got real cheery and excited. I'm back in front of the laptop, but I haven't touched the cursor yet. Now I'm touching it. Let's keep the screen share on. We're going to open up a new window, not incognito. There's our, this isn't really Google. This is the domestic terrorist upstairs and the spare renderer. Fucking menstruation, man. Bad cramps, then no cramps, then laying down, had cramps. Going back to Spotify, one of the domestic terrorists' favorite ways to log in and attempt to terminate the live stream. As you've seen in preceding live streams, we got the Widevine content decryption, the dedicated workers that are actually domestic terrorists, the service worker, all of the extra hacks made possible by Spotify for Unit 207. We got to keep one service worker hanging out. Otherwise, they won't play any podcast episodes. Same goes for login. There they are again, as you can see on the screen share. Dedicated worker, subframe. Whoop. If we don't keep one, as you've seen in preceding live streams, then there's no podcasts. Got to refresh. One of the hackers upstairs got pissed. He didn't get in on that, so he made me have to do it again. I'm going to go for Louis Theroux. If you put a new podcast episode up. I do want to go to sleep, so we'll repeat the going to sleep screen sharing process later when I get there. Where is Louis Theroux? There he is. Let's make this large size. We'll bring the task manager up here too. Unit 207 isn't, there we go. Letting the page load.
1, 2, 1, 2. Are we rolling? Hello, Louis Theroux here, and welcome back to my podcast called The Louis Theroux Podcast. Today I'm joined by Sean Evans, the co-creator and host of the YouTube sensation Hot Ones. It's a show on YouTube where he talks to people. If you haven't heard of Hot Ones, where have you been? It's the show with hot questions and even hotter wings. A celebrity interview format where the guest has to eat their way through a platter of spicy wings, each one spicier than the last. And the idea is that the increasing inferno in the guest's mouth disables them from answering coherently, which is funny. Or possibly that they're being disarmed by what's happening in their mouth. They are more likely to answer the question in a way that feels authentic and surprising. Anyway, it's just funny to see people suffer, is the bottom line. Since its inception, the show has produced 26 seasons and 300 as of time of recording. My episode is available on YouTube. We reference it. I'll tell you at the end how many views we have, because that comes up, and maybe the suspense will be helpful in keeping your interest to listen to the whole episode. This one was recorded in August of last year. Sean joined me remotely from the Spotify studio in New York. I was keen to speak to him because I admire his broadcasting technique and his ability to carve out a significant place for himself in the new media landscape. Just as I spoke to Amelia de Moldenberg a little while ago, and other influencers and people who represent something in the culture. And Sean definitely has done that. And he's a smart guy, he's funny, and it was a chance to turn the tables on him after my experience. And I liked his vibe. And we need to get some American listeners. Okay, do I have to spell it out? We need some US relevance. A warning, there is strong language in this episode, including, and I apologize for this, the use of the word wiener. You hear that in America a lot. Here, not so much. Here in the UK. A wiener is a penis. It's a kind of sausage. It actually comes from the term wiener or wiener dog or wiener schnitzel. If you speak German, you'll know. Vienna in German is Wien. And so a wiener, technically speaking, is something from Vienna. But they're famous for that sausage. And the sausage resembles my penis. And other people's. And with that, enjoy the chat. How are you doing, man?
Good. How are you? It's good to see you. Thanks so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's going to be good to be on the other end of the questions. Dish some spiciness your way for a change. Are we all good to go? Are you ready?
I'm ready whenever you're ready.
The first thing I want to say is I don't know if I've said this, but thank you for having me on. It was a huge thrill for me to go on, and I haven't yet watched the episode, which may sound odd, but that speaks more to my own anxiety. Like, I am going to watch it, and I thought I'll watch it before I talk to Sean, and then I thought, you know what, that'll just distract me, and then the conversation will be about that episode, and so I will get to it. But it was a huge thrill, and I don't know if I ever said thank you for having me on. That's number one. Did I? Do you think I did?
I'm sure you did, but I would say I'd return the compliment and say thank you so much for doing it. It was such a thrill to go out to London, and that week was so fun. The shoot with you, definitely a highlight. And you should watch the episode. It's a classic and beloved Hot Ones interview. So you got to jump that hurdle.
Did it? Because I know Gordon Ramsay got 126 million views. I'm guessing mine would probably not that many, but easily 100 million, right?
Yeah, I think it's up there. It's catching, Gordon. It's closing. It's closing. You know, you're 5 years behind, but yeah, that closing speed, the fourth leg here.
I think it might. I think it might be one of your lowest rated.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And also, too, just
are you saying that based on fact or kindness?
Oh, as a matter of fact, there's no way it's one of the lowest. And as a matter of kindness, it's not low rated. It's very high rated, personally, to my heart. And as you can tell, if you just look through the comments by fans as well.
I feel like You are putting ointment on my too tender soul. I appreciate it so much.
There are episodes that I love that I think are amongst the best that, will have under 3 million views, for example. Trick Daddy is one that I point out as like one of my all-time like top 10, top 15 Hot Ones videos ever. And it doesn't do those kinds of view numbers, but that's not what it's really about. It's just about sort of scratching the itch for the people that watch it. And I like having a show that the stakes are high enough, that people are watching it. I like that kind of pressure to perform week in and week out. And who knows the degree to which that pushes me even subconsciously. But that's never really the goal necessarily. These are things that the internet takes them, transforms them, amplifies them. But I think just the day in and day out process of researching someone, walking a mile in their shoes, doing some armchair psychology afterwards, writing the questions that are just things that you're naturally curious about, and then trying to execute against that vision of it. There's never a view goal that I have in my mind, just an execution and sort of performance of the interview goal that I have in mind. So as long as it checks those boxes, that's really all I need to keep doing it.
You've done over 350 episodes, 23 seasons. Actually, I don't want this all to be just geeking out on this episode, but I'd like to do a tiny bit of geeking out, if that's all right. I've gone deep into the research, watching more episodes just in prep for this conversation. It's really striking how my favorites don't always line up with the ones that are perceived as the best ones. So, for example, one of the least appreciated, or one of the ones that's viewed as a kind of debacle, was the DJ Khaled one, right?
Right.
I mean, everyone's going to know this. You have 10 wings, and there's a progressive level of spiciness. Ideally, you eat them all, and most people do manage to do that, including yours truly. But DJ Khaled, after eating the first one, which is like the basically non-spicy one, really freaking out. And then he gets more and more. It's kind of this weird toggling between sort of self-protective machismo, and then almost like critiquing you for putting him up to it, like kind of raising questions about the whole construct for the of the format, right? So it's like, oh well, he failed, but it's something so enjoyable about going on this kind of journey that he goes on.
Yeah, no, that to me is one of just the canon episodes of Hot Ones. Like, to be a Hot Ones fan, I think you have to watch the DJ Khaled episode. I think it's a very important part of our entire story. And I think that your take on it is right. Like, I do remember walking in and he was on his second slice of pizza and me being a little bit worried just about that, like eating now he was kind of like, oh, this is some freak show that I got roped into. What am I doing here? And then sort of expressing that while it was happening. But I do think that it makes this push and pull between us pretty compelling to watch. And so in that way, that's like an early season. I think the first season of the show kind of episode, but to me, it's the most memorable and important of the ones that we did, even though on a performance level, no one has come even close. Like you said, we've been doing the show for almost 10 years. That was in the first couple months of doing the show. I've waited almost 10 years for someone to break DJ Khaled's reverse record, and nobody has ever come close, and I don't think anyone ever will come close.
He has a problem with the first wing. He starts looking a little twitchy, like he thinks he's being set up. He thinks like maybe you're not eating the same wings, so you swap wings with him.
I remember that, yeah.
And then, which I thought was very gracious, it's almost like you've poisoned, like enemies sitting down
stacked
during battle.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, you sip from my cup then. So then he eats the third one, he taps out. He then says, it's very important what we teach the youth, because this right here is dangerous. Like suggesting that you're encouraging people to jump off tall buildings or jump in lakes, right? Then I freeze framed it. I feel like you look, because as you say, it's early on. So part of you is probably still anxious about it working as a format. I think there's a micro expression in which you look either panicked or slightly annoyed.
Yeah.
You're like, this isn't supposed to go like this.
No, 100%.